Sorry about that. I had hair on my tongue. Okay, so welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, non-classic. This is episode number 2619 and Doubleshot number 2513. We have two sci-fi trades here. First one we have is The Threshold, Volume 1, The Hunted. Of 1. So, yeah, this is basically the short-lived Threshold series. This trade collects the entire 8-issue series along with Green Lantern New Guardians and number 1, which is basically the backdoor pilot to short-lived title. Yeah. The Hunted is basically the name of the show that the main character is part of. Now, it's written by Keith Giffen, art by Tom Rooney, Phil Wenside, Scott Nolans, Andrew Brisson, Timothy Green, and Joseph Silver. The cover is by Howard Porter and Hi-Fi. Now, the main character of this book is Joadiah Call, this guy here. Which, if you look at him, he's a guy with a ring in his chest. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is that he's being hunted by aliens for reasons of the whole book. He's working with a woman named Stealth, which I believe was a character from Legion, if I'm not mistaken. Not Legion Superheroes, the book Legion that Keith Giffen did. That's probably the reason why she's here. He's an okay character per se. And also, Blue Beetle is here. Yes, Jaime Reyes is here. Yeah, first time he appeared since the cancellation of his title. He appears here for a handful of issues, and he's sent back to Earth. And at the time of this book cancellation, that was the last time he was seen until DC Rebirth. By the way, this book came out in, if you're really curious, 2013. So basically, Blue Beetle didn't come back for 8 years, with the exception of a cameo in Convergence, which I heard was probably done by accident. So, yeah, and there's also two different backup stories. The first backup story they have is for La Freeze, and that's to set up his solo book, which I'll talk about in the future. Excuse me. And there's also Star Hawkins, another character. It's an okay book per se, nothing terrible. It's not one of Keith Giffen's best work that he's done. It's got good artwork. I love the artwork for this book. Yes, even Brainiac appears in the book too, which you think, okay, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, if you want to read annual number 1 for Green Lantern Guardians, this is the trade you gotta read it in. And then by halfway through the book, the ring comes out of his chest and becomes, well, a Green Lantern again. And then the final issue, he gets killed off. Oh, look, it's basically the Brainiac. I believe this is designed from the Brainiac show. I think it's one of his earliest appearances he made in the current continuity. Let me take a look about that. So Brainiac in the current continuity, Viral Docs, made his debut in the 4th issue of Action Comics. Yeah, he's here because, well, they have a Bottle City here because it's Brainiac. Of course they have Bottle Cities. Oh, by the way, after issue number 5, there's also Captain K-Rod. Yeah, Captain K-Rod is basically a revamped version of Captain Carrot. who is made to be a version of Rocket Raccoon. Yep. Now, issue 6 gets replaced with Star Hawkins. Who is Star Hawkins, you might ask? Well, he's a character first appeared in Strange Adventures. Yeah, and he actually got killed off in issue Mr. Space Flame 2. Mm-hmm. He just some attack that appears in this book, and they also brought up the Space Cabbie in the final issue. Like, really? Space Cabbie? Yeah, I think this may have been like the first time they ever brought up Space Cabbie before he actually appeared in the issue of Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps. Mm-hmm. This was technically the first time he appeared since the New Guardians annual. Mm-hmm. And here he appears here as a mention. Yes, a mention. And then because he disagreed with the guy who was producing the show, Crimson Thrust. Well, the guy who's here, Thomas Moria. Well, it's Tommy Tomorrow. Yes. We have this book wrapped up. He later popped up in Avengers Super Sons, appeared in the final issue of Heroes in Crisis, and he also appeared in Legion of Heroes Millennium #1. Yep, I was right. Stealth is from Legion. Yeah, she actually... Yeah, the original version, Keith Gibbon created this character. So, of course, basically, he brought this woman in. Of course he did. Here's a question you might be asking. Nick, did she ever appear again after this book wrapped up? She did. In Telos. Yep, that's where she next appeared. Yeah, she appeared in that book for 2, 4, and 6, and that was it for her. Yeah, it's kind of weird though. They basically create this character he's an okay character. It's just that he's nothing to write home about. And does he appear again after this? Here's a shocker. He does. In Convergence, of all places. You're thinking, what? He appears in Convergence? Why the heck is he there for? Probably a cameo appearance. But it seems so strange. Like, why the heck would he appear there for? Some of you might be thinking, is he original character in the current continuity? Yes, he is. He is 100% complete original character. This book is okay. Not one of the best of Keith Gibbon's work, sadly. Give the book roughly 8 out of 10. Yeah. Oh, those of you curious though, why did the book end? Low sales. Really low sales. I heard the sales of this book were horrible. Apparently, each issue sold about 8,000 units, which apparently this series sold worse than Blue Beetle did. And you read this trailer no wonder why the book got canceled. It's just okay. It's not terrible. But probably the best thing about this book is the artwork. The artwork is gorgeous. I love the artwork. Lynn Carr himself did what he did with Blue Beetle. He brought up this book because Blue Beetle appeared in it. And then he appeared in Convergence. And then he was in again for a year. And then he popped. That was basically a quick cameo. Sometimes that cameo in Convergence. Blue Beetle didn't do anything for 3 years. And then he did the Blue Beetle book, and he's had some books since then. Next up is something really cool book that just started just last year. We have Star Trek Volume 1, Godshock. I'll tell you about this awesome lineup. So, written by Colin Kelly, Jackson Loring. this book collects the first 6 issues of, I believe this is the second volume for Star Trek by IDW, with a story from Star Trek 400. The artwork for issues 1, 3 through 6 is done by Ramon Renaissance, and O. Chekhov does 2 and 4. Get this. Issue 400, The Perfect System. It's a story focused on Gary Mitchell. Some of you might be asking, Nick, who the heck is Gary Mitchell? Okay, so he first appeared in the second pilot for the original series. Yes, they had 2 pilots. First was The Cage, and then it was Where No Man Has Gone Before, which debuted this very character. He along with a character who, get this, was portrayed by the actors who played Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH. No joke. That is seriously 100% completely true. So, they go to this center of the, sort of edge of the galaxy. They get hit with some light. And she and Gary Metric become very powerful telepaths. And, his hair starts growing, white. And also, they mentioned the episode that he was Captain Kirk's best friend. So they brought him to his planet to supposedly keep him there. And then eventually, of course, just strand him there because he's too powerful. So he gets out, and then, of course, there's a joke about, he made this grave where it says, James R. Kirk. That was basically a goof on by the writers. His middle name was actually begins with T. So, here he is, appearing in this planetary system, and here he is, Gary Mitchell, who dies in the story. Now, I have heard, I talked to Jackson Long about this, Jackson Lees about this, but Star Trek 400, when it came out, people call it very woke. I read the issue, I'm like, where do you see it's woke? Okay, so, in the main story, we jump to Captain Sisko in the Celestial Temple. And I love the title, Where No One Has Gone Before. That was actually a 21st century phrase. That was also the name of an episode from season 1. The episode debuted the Creepy Traveler, the one who later on in Wesley Crusher's last appearance in the main Next Generation series, took it with him, become a traveler. So, he's in this thing, and then we cut to apparently 3 years after the final episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where Kira has got a slightly new uniform here, and she's referred to as Commander Kira, this way wearing a Bajoran uniform. And in this book, Jake has publishing articles about his father. And for some reason, because he's been gone for 3 years, nobody cares. And then he comes back. According to Jackson Loring, he said basically he asked to bring it back. He said, sure, do whatever you want. Because focus on new stuff. Let's the comics focus on the cool stuff we love. So yeah, he's back. Now, this is a second telling of his return outside the Celestial Temple. The first one was actually in a novel. A novel that killed off First Minister Sakaar. Where in the book, those who remember the episode Conspiracy from its first episode of Next Generation, there were these weird parasites that infected a guy who appeared in one episode previous before this, and they infected the Admiralty, and it was a very dark and gross episode to a point where in the UK, where it becomes sort of a body horror moment where there's a queen inside of him, his head explodes, and he turns a creature. That part was actually censored in the UK. Yep. And yeah. So, and they came back in that book, and it was retconned that these creatures are the cousin species of the Trill. So, in order to stop them, Major Kira decided to activate all the orbs across the entire space station, and that's how it came back. Yes, that is seriously how Ben Sisko came back in the novels. This guy comes back in this comic. So he comes back, reunites with Jake. Now, okay, I should point out though, Odo is not here because he's Alpha in the Gamma Quadrant. Miles O'Brien is not here because he's on Earth. So, For some reason, Dr. Bashir is not here, so he's examined by Starfleet and the Prophet stuff, and of course you just see for the places, and then basically he probably can still catch a baseball. So apparently his daughter was born. Now in the novels, the daughter's name is Rebecca, and here they were named just Sarah, probably after his late mother. That's my perception, anyways. And apparently he does not go see his wife or his new daughter. And also, this is something they carried over from the novels, I think. I didn't spoke to Jackson about this. But in the novels, also, Sisko's father also died there too, off screen. But he got, and they mentioned about the Sisko's restaurant. I don't know what happened to it. My guess is Sisko's sister took over. But, and then we see a scene that, now here's something interesting though. This is a recreation of the very first episode of the whole scene. Not the dialogue, the scene setting. It is a recreation of the very first episode of Deep Space Nine, The Emissary. Oh, Emissary. We have Picard and Sisko across the table. So Sisko's plan is to basically to explore the whole time with God. So apparently he's on a different ship, so he needs a ship. But you can vouch that you're trusted. I'm a flag set, nothing more. Picard knows I need this ship. So he picks the first officer. And the first officer, and this is so funny. So it'll be a singular experience working Captain. I hope he not allergic to cats. It's Data! Yep, probably before the events of Nemesis. Because this is set between, 3 years after the events of, well, probably the final episode of Deep Space Nine, which I think it was in 2376, I think it was. So, this is probably in 2376, this is probably before his death in Nemesis. Probably before that. So he gets a space shuttle. Of course, they see their ship, and wow, it's called the Theseus. Yep, that's the name of their spaceship. Gorgeous splash page by the artist. And so, get this. So, Sisko's the captain. Data is second command. The chief engineer is like, engineering to Captain Sisko, do you read me? Loud and clear engineering. Or should I say, Captain Montgomery Scott. I love this guy. He's so fun. I've loved Scotty for years. The character, not the actor who plays him. He's sad, it's the best way. But I love this character, Scotty. Apparently he's put on a little weight. So basically he's doing engineering. He's wearing his uniform he wore from the original ship. So Scotty be fine, lad, if you're going to be in the chair. My master here, it make a maiden voyage on my little first name basis. Just do one favor for me. Do one favor, will ya? I thought she'll blow. I assume she could be. I'm assuming we're taking it apart. Aye. Yes, and then of course basically transfer the captain seat to him. So then we're introduced to the bridge crew. And the first person we see is an Andorian. Ensign Sato. So we're thinking, wait, Sato was an Asian human. Why the heck is she an alien? My guess is it's just kind of weird though. Maybe Hoshi married, maybe one of Hoshi's descendants married an Andorian, that's why her last name is Sato. And then we see Lieutenant Paris from Voyager. Ensign Talar. I think he's from Voyager, if I'm not mistaken, but they also got new uniforms too. So apparently he's been in the ship for a long time. So and they reduced the chief medical officer, none other than Dr. Beverly Crusher. Okay. You got me interested. So they're looking for God. So they go off, and of course you have Scotty basically using like an old 21st century communicator to talk to him. And then we come across the crystalline entity. Okay. This creature appeared in 2 episodes of Next Generation. The first time it appeared was in Lore's debut episode. The second time the crystal entity appeared, it was like in a episode that featured a basically one of the colonists. use the Enterprise sensors to destroy Chris Lindsay. And here, so Cisco talks to the prophets like they're dying. And while he's talking to them, the chrysalite entities all explode. They all die. What? So then they plot a course. As talking to people, they go to Kronos. And they run into Worf. Or, excuse me, Ambassador Worf. Yep, this is actually another follow-up from the events of Deep Space Nine, where Worf is here, and there's actually a reason why he's here. There's a very good reason why. So, they're here to meet Emperor Kahless. Now, okay, this is not the actual Kahless. Okay, it's explained in the episode Kahless that this is a clone. Created in the episode to create... this is like toward the end of Next Generation, they created this character where he's a clone and he was given the hereditary title of Emperor. Like, just in name only, just basically there for political purposes. Apparently in this book, he thinks he's the actual Emperor because he basically acts like Kahless from the original stories. Kahless and Fergus, but the fact this is a clone. Yep, it's a clone. He's referred to as, his full title is Kahless II. So apparently the position is higher than Martok, and they also mention in this book, apparently there's people on the Klingon High Council that don't like Martok. 15 of them because he's a Federation supporter. And the way they ran him here, he is a complete jerk. And he is actually here to set up a crossover. That's the reason why he's here. So they want to go to this one planet. He keeps saying, no. He's like, never. Yep. So he agreed. And of course, Worf agrees to go to this planet, which is quarantined. So they have basically people on the planet. So basically, Worf stays on board. And the away team is Crusher, Cisco, Data, and Sato. And they meet these people, and they don't get much anything out of here. And then they'll start a fight with him. Yeah, and of course, Worf, of the House of Martok, traded the Empire once again. He's like, I'm a Federation ambassador. I'm here on personal. Oh, by the way, before I continue, Talar refers to the ship under a non-binary term. When I saw him, like, that's stupid. I had to bring that up because some people were like, wait, did you have a problem with the line where Talar basically referencing the non-binary stuff? Yes, I had a problem with that when I read this again. I read this in when it came out, and I still have a problem with this to the very day. I think the line is stupid. I don't know why the writers put in the book for it, but they did. So, moving on from that. So, he's here as a quest of, like, I'm here in personal business, roaring about fire. So, it was a good day to die. And, of course, they talked to him. Of course, they thought a little skirmish. But Cisco's able to calm down. Actually, Data talks. Yes, Data. So, convince him, not much anything out of it. So basically, Worf decides he misses basically being in the Federation starship. So, he requests to be reinstated as a Star officer. And he's already told Diplomat Corps he is resigning position as the Federation ambassador to Kronos. It's like, good to hear, Worf. Because what the Shapers told us requires some of your expertise. Okay, so the killer did leave one of the things, the Shapers, one discarded clue for us to follow. But I doubt any of us like where it leads. So we have a Klingon knife. And then comes the funniest issue of the whole series. I love this book. So the beginning part of the issue is not basically what's funny. So we then see Talar says, I am Talar, a Vulcan of Starfleet. Greetings. He keeps repeating that himself while he's like getting dressed. He eats a plant. I'm like, why the heck is he eating a plant for? I have no idea why. So after talking with Dr. Crusher about some stuff, and then we have Jake basically... By the way, Jake is on board the ship. Because, well, why not? And, of course, talk about Cisco's. and the fact Enzo Talar likes back he's basically with Legacy. And then something weird happens. So the bridge has been turned to Wild West. You're thinking, oh no, he's here. It's Q! Yep. Yeah, this is, okay, here's basically the Cars archive. Captain Picard. I've encountered more alien species than nearly any captain since Captain Kirk, since James T. Kirk, overseen 100 first contact missions. I dealt with Federation's most dangerous foes. I have never come across a creature more obnoxious, more loathsome, more dangerous, or more insecure than Q. That was Picard. The USS London, Captain Dolan Perm. The QNT is quite capable of manipulating space, time, and offered himself as alternately omnipotent or omnipresent. Yet, of these powers, was confrontingly unserious. First time we met, he took my crew to cats. Fourth, he made a human monarchy band follow me throughout a delicate diplomatic situation with the Select. The second final time, he just made a lot of fart noises and power on my bridge, and complaining I wasn't paying attention to him. And that was like 7 injuries. Picard was 10. Here's one from Janeway. Q may be aggressively annoying, but the truth is, there's more humanity behind this smirk that's on. I've seen him his weakest. Take away the remains of the Q continuum were less malicious than tricksters. Less malicious tricksters are very lonely, very powerful children. Deep Space Nine, Captain Benjamin Sisko. 1 entry. Q came to Deep Space Nine and punched my fist to his face and a flock. Yeah, that's 100% completely true. And then as soon as he sees him, he punches him again. Thank you, Raiden, for doing that. I did this funny meme on Discord. This is so funny. Well, I had the leader of it is like, his name is Captain Oz. Like, Q, you're awesome. He's like, oh, thank you. And I respond to basically, Q, do you still hate Sisko for punching you? And he says, yes, screw Sisko. Yes, I did that. Yes, this is so funny. I mean, it's like basically the writers basically knew exactly what people wanted to see. Sisko punching Q. And I remember basically his line from the show where Sisko punches him and then Q says, you hit me. Picard never hits me. And Sisko responds says, I'm not Picard. Yes, seriously, he said that. Yes. It is so funny. It is by far one of the funniest scenes of the whole episode, and I love the fact he basically pins him down. Am I the one who had learned a lesson? He's like, the Sisko's trapped in the puzzle. Sisko's all alone. Sisko realized himself. Sisko's a hammer. He just was like one of the Kais. Why keep us on my port missions? You know, I'm trying to cheat. The prophets need me to achieve. Ah, yes, the prophets. I think they've really rushed to repair. And of course, so apparently the people were not affected by Q stuff. Is basically Sisko, Crusher, Jake, Talar, and Scotty. Yes. Now, here's the thing. He does not share a conversation with Dr. Crusher, despite the fact he's known her for years. So then we see Jake and Talar running the ship. It's like, fourth fastest in camera history. Interesting. And then we see some musketeers, and then they swim underneath some, and then we see some dancing. Okay, and then apparently they come across Captain Kirk, Captain Cole of the Organian Peace Treaty. I'm like, this is interesting. And then they're chased by gerbils. Okay. And then we see, like, him touching a lever. And then we have this other person snapping. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Yeah, who is this guy? Oh, yeah, I don't know who the heck this guy is. Not Q, but... So they go to the God City of the Tucker, which I think is mentioned a few times in the book, so... Then they go there. Of course, it mentions about this. They're ancient civilization. I believe they're mentioned in one episode of Next Generation, I'm mistaken, where they feel like remains in the Empire. And then we have Talar and Sato. Seems that Sato really is really interested in Talar, but he's not interested at all. And it's not due to the fact that, well, their species were once basically hated rivals. It's not written that way. I think it's because he's not interested because he's probably not into ladies. Who knows? He's a Vulcan. So then, of course, basically they finally arrive. Now, I'm sure probably the basis bridge on one of the current bridges we see in the current shows, Picard. So they come across the God City, which is like this gigantic city in space. Yeah, so they go inside, and then we have various happening in the ship. A Klingon aboard the Prey show up, which is commanded by Kahless. Yep, so yeah, and then we have a scene. Then we have the Klingons board the ship because they shut their shields, and then we have Klingon basically trying to slice Data. It's like, you have Klingon about to stab Dr. Crusher. It's like, first strike the path. Your path is without honor. Klingon swordsman, you have made a great tactical error. You have such you should see, I have deactivated my pain receptors, and my captive is armed. Yes, because I remember this, because this is probably the writers recreating the awesomeness that was Way of the Warrior, that 2-hour episode from season 4. The scene where the Klingons storm the space station, and it's a massive brawl, not only basically on the promenade, some of the quarters, they battle on the bridge. It is pure chaos, and it's awesome. So why not? And then, of course, apparently, it's revealed that one of the followers of Kahless is Alexander. You're thinking, what? Worf's son is part of them? Yes, Worf's son is part of them. He apparently has been brainwashed by Kahless. So, yeah, and then, of course, apparently he can't find the ship because he's on board. He's getting relieved. And then it's off screen that Worf's stole a shuttle, and that's basically a backdoor pilot to the Star Trek Defiant book, which leads into the Day of Blood crossover. Meanwhile, though, Worf is just here just to ignite that. It's like, Worf is here just to set up his own spin-off series. So, then they do the whole God City thing, and then they tell Starfleet to stand down when it comes close to Earth. But this book is just so awesome. I love how it's written. And the book ends with the ship going back to Deep Space Nine. Awesome. Yeah. This book was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Aside from the one line I didn't like by Talar, this book was actually pretty good. I'll give this book roughly I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 10 because I love the story, just I don't like that line. Yep. Yeah, and by the way, that was one of the books picked up at Comic-Con. But yeah, this book is just pure awesomeness at its finest. It's like Colin Kelly and Jackson Laurie knew what people wanted. Yep, and these people who did Star Trek Year 5. Yeah, but crossing over Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Next Generation like this, it's just so awesome. Yep. Oh, by the way, on the back of the cover, we have the Enterprise E, despite the fact that ship does not play a role in the book. Yep. Oh, by the way, they do mention B'Elanna is happy that Tom is at the house. Yes. Just so awesome. Do I have a problem with the uniforms? Not really. I do like the fact Sisko was actually in the same uniform as good continuity when he was last seen in the series. So it's interesting. Picard's also in the uniform. Now, the reason why they're in the new uniforms because in the case of the Vessel of Odysseus, which is based upon like a word, the reason... Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the reason why for the uniforms, because the ship is experimental. He's not mentioned from the Prophet, so he gets a ship. Okay, fine. But the book, loved it. Really good. Okay, so that's episode of you. Next up is Melder. Okay, next video. Bye.